So, in this video, I'm doing something a bit different. I'm playing Enigmatica 2 Expert and rushing Mechanism and Power Generation from spawning in. Mechanism requires steel, which normally requires a decent amount of steps to reach, but with some clever routing, this can be greatly reduced. This video is pretty experimental for the channel, so let me know what you think and if you want me to turn this into a playthrough. Immediately from spawning in, I start rushing over to this blacksmith to grab its items. Specifically, the dark steel ingots are what I'm after. These are important as they allow me to completely bypass the Tinker's early game of the pack. Enigmatica 2 Expert features many mining levels, requiring you to mine a certain ore just to upgrade your pickaxe, just to mine another ore just to upgrade your pickaxe, etc. The dark steel pickaxe is craftable and has a mining level of 7, which is above the level needed to mine obsidian. In this chest is also an air charm, which allows for effective flight. I further raid the village for some other items, such as an ender orb, a hammer, a piston, furnaces, and chests. The latter three have modified recipes in Enigmatica 2 Expert, so grabbing some for free will help save even more time. Before heading down to mine, I quickly set up a base and mine up some sand, gravel, and clay to craft into a grout and let it sit to cook into seared bricks while I mine. Heading underground, I have two goals, iron and lava. The iron will be used to craft buckets to move water, as well as crafting a flint and steel for the nether portal. I also use some of the iron to craft a small plate presser, which allows for early game ore doubling. Using the dark steel pick, I also mine up some obsidian and return to the surface to create the nether portal. Diving straight into the nether, I have one goal, blaze rods. Blaze rods I use to craft blaze powder, which is needed to craft blast bricks, which are used for both creating steel as well as being in the mechanism steel casing recipe. The air charm's effective flight also comes in handy, allowing me to cross over the oceans of lava without needing to place even a single block. Along the way, I dodge fireballs and mine some ores. Nether ores can be smelted into two of their overworld equivalent, which can then be crushed with a small plate presser to effectively quadruple them. Arriving at the nether fortress, I search for a blaze spawner, and after finding it, I grind up 14 blaze rods, and then return to base. On the way back, I also mine up some more ores and grab some bone block. Back at the base, I first use the seared bricks I've been cooking to set up a Tinker's smeltery, which I'll use for making tools as well as for having a better ratio on plates. Then, I use the bone meal from the bone blocks to craft a coke oven. The coke oven makes coke and creosote, both of which will be needed. Following that, I set up the blast furnace and insert coke and iron to cook into steel. It's at this point I mine the treated wood from the immersive engineering house to craft some items, rather than waiting for more creosote to produce. Using this treated wood, I craft an engineer's workbench and water wheel segments. The engineer's workbench will be used to craft steel mechanical components at a much better ratio. In between all this, I also set up tinkers and craft my first tinker's tool. I realized that I forgot to grab sugarcane to craft the blueprint for mechanical components, so I shoved some more pulverized ores to my furnace and then proceed to run up and down the nearby river to find some. Along the way, I managed to find 2 AE presses. Returning to the base, I used the newly cooked steel to craft steel casings, as well as turning the water wheel segments into water wheels. I used my first steel casing to craft an infuser, which is used to make circuits, as well as making alloys easier. I then attempted to create the water wheel setup from memory, failed that, and then proceeded to just Google my own tutorial. With the water wheel now set up and producing a passive 88 RF a tick, I use wires connected to the infuser, and just like that, I have Power and Mechanism. I then remembered that the quest book existed, and then claimed all my quests at once. After unboxing the crates I received, I obtained a couple of neat items, such as an atomic reconstructor, a fission reactor, and an elytra. I also obtained a basic tier installer and used it to upgrade the infuser into an infusing factory. Like mentioned at the start, this is a pretty experimental video, so let me know what you think and if this should turn into a playthrough.